Hi guys, it is time to talk the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. There are some, I know we've been talking about them the last couple of days, but there are still some important things that we have to talk about regarding the episode this week, dealing with Lisa Rinna, Sutton, and then I have some different inserts and some maybe fun facts on, Diana Jenkins and Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip and just all the good stuff. Talking Beverly Hills, ladies. So before we get started, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn those notifications on. Guys, you don't want to miss anything, right? I mean, that's why we're here, to stay up to date with these women and everything that's going on in the Real Housewives community. Let's start with Teddi and Tamara are out and about on their, two T's in a podcast. Teddi posted a very short clip. Of course, guys, her commentary dealing with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I don't know if she should be reviewing the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because her commentary is that of a Kyle Richards fan account. Her commentary is always pro Kyle. It's never a different perspective, a new perspective, a fresh perspective. It is Kyle's BFF perspective always, okay? So she kind of slips that in a little bit when talking about their review for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and how she is not going to be fake and pretend that she feels a certain way about scenes when she doesn't. And she's referencing Sutton telling Kyle that, she's had a rough day, but she guesses she hasn't had a gun held to her head, so it must not be too bad. I touched on this a little bit in my last video because I think it's so hypocritical, okay? Because what is Kyle saying? Kyle's saying that Sutton has no compassion or empathy for their friend that was just robbed at gunpoint, okay? Sutton, she talks to Sutton a different day. She brings it up again, and, Sutton explains this time, and she explains it strangely. Sutton is a different kind of a person. It's just the way that she is, and she just explained it bluntly because it's probably painful for her. So she said, look, my dad shot himself in the head, and my house was robbed when I was 14, and I just don't handle these types of situations well. And Kyle doesn't answer with an empathetic response. She doesn't answer with a compassionate response. She doesn't respond to Sutton as a person in front of her that is a woman who's had some pain and trauma in her life, and maybe she just responded the wrong way. She, in return, gives Sutton no empathy or compassion, right? And she says, oh, Sutton, it's not always about you. Now, somebody brought up a really good point in the comments. Kyle just had a childhood friend, recently commit suicide tragically. I said in my last video, I don't think that Kyle or even some people understand the significance or the trauma that a suicide will bring someone versus a different kind of death, okay? It's very, very, very different, and we don't see Kyle show any sort of compassion towards Sutton about that. We hear Teddi also talk about the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, and she claims that they are casting for it, and Tamara's like, oh, how do you know? And Teddi's like, oh, because I wasn't asked to be on it. She sounded a little salty, guys, I'm not going to lie. The word on the curb was that there's going to be one current and one ex-housewives from the franchises that they pick to be involved in the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. The reason I felt like Teddi might have been so salty about it is maybe because Kyle's doing it. I don't know if they would bring back some of the ladies that have done it before, or if they would always pick new ladies, or if they'd pick some of the same. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but my impression would be that she knows they were casting, probably because Kyle told her, go ahead, girl, get on the producer's ass, call your agent, because they're casting for Ultimate Girls Trip, because I just got my spot. So I'm guessing that's how she would know and how she was trying to get on, and that's probably why she was so salty about it, because Kyle is on and she is not. somebody made a really great point in the comments. Let's go back to this whole dinner between Eric, the whole dinner at Harry Hamlin's 70th birthday party. Number one, what did you guys think about the speech that Lisa gave about Harry? Someone commented that it seemed more like a speech that you would give your best friend. I kind of felt that way too. It did feel like not very romantic, if that would be a good choice of words. I want to know what you guys think, because there's so many rumors surrounding Harry and his escapades in Canada, and boyfriends kind of scattered and sprinkled all over the United States. They say it's common in Hollywood that everyone knows it between Lisa and Harry, and we had a blind item come across that said, look, Lisa Rinna has it in her contract that she does not have to talk about her personal life as long as she stays on those girls' asses. Okay, and I believe this, and I'm going to tell you why, because let's rewind. I always tell you, go back and watch from the beginning. If you want to know something, you can figure it out. Remember when Kim Richards flipped out and told Lisa, let's talk about the husbands, let's talk about the husbands? Okay, that's what Kim was talking about to Lisa. Let's talk about your husband and his escapades, and how you guys are just together for face, and how he doesn't even bring back any paycheck. You're paying for everything, and he's, out with his dudes, his boyfriends, whatever you want to call it. But Lisa knows that this could be a huge explosive storyline, and so she decided, I'm putting this in my contract. Like, Lisa's been around Hollywood a long time. She is not an idiot, and she's a hustler. So she would go in there and say, look, I will do all the villain work that you need me to do behind the scenes, in front of the camera, whatever it is, but we ain't never, ever, ever talking about my husband. Got it? And Bravo said, okay, sign here. We'll never talk about him. Sorry, I just dropped my pen. And that's what happened there, in my opinion. So, also want to talk about, Lisa took photos. Sutton, okay, this was in the comments. This was someone made a really great point here. This whole dinner was set up by production. And looking back, I understand why someone said it was set up by production. It absolutely was. And here's what the issue was. Everyone was saying, like, why would Sutton be so refrained from pulling out, this receipt to show? Because Lisa's calling her a liar. And Lisa's whole story, guys, doesn't even make any sense. But we've been so distracted by the robbery and Sutton and her receipt that we didn't even stop to think about how this doesn't even make any sense at all. So let's start from the beginning. We know that originally Lisa and Harry were pictured, photographed. It has been confirmed they were at the Met Gala viewing party the year in question, right? Sutton goes on Watch What Happens Live, and Sutton says, I bought the table, I bought their tickets, I didn't get a thank you. About Harry and Lisa the year they all were at the Met Gala viewing party. Lisa comes out and says, that's not what happened at all, Sutton. Actually, since me and Harry are so amazing and we go to this gala viewing every year, because we're never actually invited to the Met Gala, so we have to go to the viewing party, and we automatically have a table. But Sutton was so desperate to get on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I figured I would do Sutton a favor by sitting at her table, and so we just gave our table away, right? That was the original story, okay? So then the story changed to, well, Lisa got an email last minute from Harry's publicist, and Sutton had canceled and didn't even tell Lisa. And so Lisa and Harry were scrambling to get tickets, and they had, basically Lisa had to do some D-list work for some D-list company to get them a seat at this viewing party. That's what Lisa said. forgetting, guys, and shame on us, shame on me. I should have realized, I should have played this out in my head. That doesn't make any sense because we already saw her pictured with Sutton at the event. How could Sutton have supposedly canceled the table last minute, but then Sutton actually be at the event? And you guys sat together. You have photos together. We already determined that. So you're trying to say that Harry's publicist emailed you and told you that Sutton canceled and you guys had to struggle to get tickets, and then what? You showed up and Sutton was there, and so you gave up your tickets again to sit with Sutton? That doesn't make any sense. That makes zero sense. This is insulting that Lisa is even trying to play us with this storyline. That is insulting. That doesn't make any sense. Think about it. Right? If she's saying Sutton canceled last minute, then why in the HE double hockey stick was Sutton there? Why were you in photos with her? Why were you at her table? You just said that she was so desperate to get on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that you did her a favor by sitting with her. Now you're saying you didn't even sit with her, even though we have photos and, you know, tapes of you admitting it before? Like, come on, Lisa. Lisa is taking Xanax and forgetting what she is saying. She looked messed up at that dinner. I'm just going to say, yes, she gets fillers. Yes, she gets Botox, but her eyes looked messed the F up. I think she was under a lot of pressure. In my opinion, here's my opinion, guys, sorry. In my opinion, she was under a lot of pressure because she had to keep up the Harry facade in front of cameras and in front of live people, okay? That's a lot of pressure for her because she's got to, you know, she's got to juggle a lot in that sort of situation because Lisa lies a lot, right? And also she has to look like a happy wife with Harry in front of cameras and fake it in front of people who know that she is acting and faking it. So I think that sometimes can add a lot of pressure, you know what I mean? Because you know that however good she plays it up with Harry, the people that are there that know that it's a lie are looking at her like, you're good. Like, you must lie all the time because you're so good at it. I think that's what they probably think. Okay, what I was getting at about the dinner was that the whole thing was set up by production, but the reason that Sutton was not so quick to come out and say, like, I'm not a liar, here's the receipt, is because she was going off script. That's why. She was going off script. She brought that. Producers didn't know she was bringing that. They didn't expect her to come in there with a receipt. Neither did Lisa Rinna. And she was going off script. And that's why she was refrained from doing it. Because people were commenting, and this makes total sense, right? If somebody calls you a liar on national television and you have the receipt to show that you're not the liar, you're gonna want to prove that out because it's an insult, right? Look at how insulted Erica Jane was whenever Sutton called her a liar, and we clearly know that lady's a liar. I mean, my God, she told Tom Girardi she loved him every day for 20 years. Now you are a liar, Erica. So if she called her a liar and Sutton knew she wasn't, and Sutton had this receipt, you know, right here, like, so quick, whip it out and, you know, put that to bed, and she refrained from doing it, and I think it's because she was torn because of production. That comment made a lot of sense to me. A couple of other things I want to talk to you guys about. I want to revisit Erica Jane's outfit from Watch What Happens Live because I had asked you guys if you thought it was the same outfit that she wore when her and Dorit were in Vegas and they were like gambling at that table. It was Dorit and Erica and Teddi, and they that was when they took the whole trip to Vegas, and the girls went down the one morning to play the tables, and Erica had on this like silky outfit. And it looked the same to me as what she had on Watch What Happens Live, but it was not, because I actually looked up the Versace outfit that Erica was wearing on Watch What Happens Live, and the pants alone were $1,700. So she was probably wearing close to, a $4,000 Versace two-piece outfit. Also, have you guys seen any of the drama surrounding Bethany and Erica talking about Bethany's ex that died, Dennis? In case you guys didn't know the background on this, because nobody explained this to anyone, we just kind of saw the comments going back and forth. What happened was Bethany's ex, Dennis, allegedly somehow had some kind of court proceedings, some kind of court case that Tom Girardi had worked on with him. And he never got the money. He never got paid, right? And so somehow Dennis, having an into the Girardi world and people, found out that he was broke. So he told Bethany, and Bethany told Andy. Did you guys know this? Because this was how this all went. Because whenever everything went down with Erica and Tom, people kept saying, we never saw this coming. We had no idea. And Andy Cohen eventually came out and said, look, when people said Bethany Frankel knows it all, she knows it all because she knows everyone. She's got people all over the place. And he said that she had actually mentioned something to him 3 years before Tom and Erica were caught. 3 years before they were caught. Bethany had told Andy that Tom was broke. Andy didn't believe her. So anyways, this ended up coming out, and Erica ended up finding out that Bethany had told Andy that. So on Watch What Happens Live, somehow, I don't know if it was a caller or if Andy brought it up, but this is what Erica said. She said, look, her dude's dead and my dude's in an old person facility. And, basically, let's just dead this shit because, Dennis is dead and Tom's in a elderly care facility. So, let's just dead it. And Bethany found that comment to be insensitive, and it sounded really, really insensitive. And we know this because here's what happened. Bethany ended up going on Watch What Happens Live, but these were taped previous, right? So when Erica's Watch What Happens Live comes out, Bethany had already taped her Watch What Happens Live with Andy. So she wasn't going to be responding to what Erica had said on Watch What Happens Live because she had taped prior to seeing the footage of Erica saying this and prior to it being even aired, which is a little bit confusing too because I'm not sure how they do the Watch What Happens Live because isn't it supposed to be like right after the show that airs, and that's why you talk about it? I'm gonna have to investigate that because that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if it's live when they film it. It's not necessarily live when we're watching it. Do you guys know that? If you do, comment below because that's a little confusing. And then lastly, I just want to touch base on the fact that no one on Instagram is reporting about the whole Dori and PK thing, right? So I came to you guys yesterday. I told you that there were 2 reports released by the LAPD on the official LAPD website regarding the Kensleys and the alleged burglary that took place. And neither of these reports, they're not the official police report, but they're reports released by the LAPD. And neither of them say anything about a gun, a firearm, a weapon, nothing. Okay? Now, when I was on Instagram yesterday, when I was scrolling, I was seeing not a lot of people commenting or posting about there not being any sort of firearms mentioned in the report. And one website had mentioned it, but they later went and deleted it because people are just eating them up alive for trying to even question anything about this robbery, okay? I went on the Reddit and was reading comments as well, and I've just been trying to follow up on it everywhere because I really wanted to clear up the misconceptions on a couple of things because I saw someone say well, wouldn't it be an aggravated robbery, and so I wanted to go through this with you guys again. There are different charges if you have a gun. In some states, like the state of Ohio, if you have a gun and you commit a felony, you have a 3-year term that you can serve just on the gun. The gun by itself being used in a felony is a whole separate charge that carries up to 3 years, up to 9 actually, by itself, okay? So if you have a gun and you use it in a burglary or a robbery, that is going to be called a armed robbery. An armed robbery is someone that has a gun and goes into a business or holds somebody up with a gun and steals their wallet or their cell phone. It doesn't matter if they steal a piece of gum from them, they stole from them, and that is a armed robbery. An aggravated robbery is a robbery where they threaten you with a weapon, told you that they had a weapon, Please remember, told you that they had a weapon. If you have a potato in your hand and you put a glove over it or whatever, and you try to make it feel like the butt of a gun, okay, and you tell that person that that's a gun, then it becomes an aggravated robbery, okay? It's like having a weapon. You could bite someone. There was a woman, she was in Kohl's, she was shoplifting, she came out, she was stopped by security, she fought them off and bit a security guard and was charged with a aggravated robbery. So if there's any sort of physical fight, if there's any sort of threat of a weapon, then it becomes aggravated robbery, okay? Armed robbery is actually with a gun. A gun could be a whole additional set of charges for the defendant if that was the case. Yes, this would be mentioned in LAPD's report, guys. It would say victim alleges that there was a possible gun, a possible firearm, possible possession of a gun. Yeah, maybe they might not come out and say armed, robbery, to suspects have guns, weapon, what? No, they didn't say any of that. There would be something like police suspect robbers to be armed and dangerous. Nothing like that, guys. I'm telling you, this is sketchy, okay? You can't just go online and pull up police reports. Yes, they're public record, but you still have to write a written request to the city for the prosecutor for them to release the official police report, which I'm sure there are people on it. However, I'm just letting you guys know that I don't think people are comfortable about reporting on this because of the sensitiveness of the subject, and they don't want to offend or upset anyone. They don't want to upset viewers. They don't want to upset Dorit and her camp. We've heard of PK coming for bloggers before, i.e. Dana Wilkie. I don't want to get eaten up in the comments alive either. I'm just saying that in my experience, the report, whether it's the official police report or not, it's being released from an official entity, if you will. It's going to include some sort of threat, like letting you know the level of threat if you come across these individuals, right? If they're armed, they want the public to know these people are armed and dangerous. Stay away from them. Just like if someone breaks out of a prison, they do a bolo, an alert. This person is armed and dangerous, okay? And that was not the case here. There was no mention of a weapon. The victim says there was an alleged weapon. There could have been a weapon. Nothing. It makes it sound like the guys came there. They specifically didn't have any weapons on them because they did not think that anyone was going to be home. They broke the window, broke in, ran into her. Probably, she said the one guy was like holding her from behind, and people were mentioning that it's a good possibility that Dorit maybe thought they had a gun. Maybe they thought she had a gun, like they were holding something against her back and they told her that she had a gun. And that's 100% a possibility, right? Like I told you guys before, if somebody threatens you and implies that they have a weapon, says they have a weapon, that they're coming to hurt you, then it becomes aggravated, okay? But again, there would be some mention of a weapon in these two various reports by the LAPD. So it's important that you guys understand that it's a very big deal between a weapon and no weapon. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Dorit or PK or their finances or their situations. I mean, I think that's another reason no one's reporting on this. They don't want to say it, and God forbid, it come out that there was a gun. But I'm telling you guys, I don't want to do that either. I don't want to eat crow. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I will always apologize. But I am very very certain that there would be a mention of this firearm in one of those reports, and there would be a mention to these people are dangerous. There is something, and there is no indication of that. So that is going to be a tough pill to swallow for viewers if we, I don't know if we'll ever hear anything about it, because I feel like Dorit's not going to answer any questions. She's going to say, refer to my attorney. I'm not allowed to answer any questions. I mean, it's just a very big deal, and it could end up making Bravo look really, really, really bad, and Dorit making them look really, really bad. And that's why I'm just like, man, I cannot think that one, Bravo would put them up to this, unless they have an excellent legal team that would tell them what they could and could not do. Two, that Dori and PK would think that they could, tell the public that, tell viewers that, knowing that it's not true, and that any sort of public record coming out would, show the discrepancy. I mean, if these men were being prosecuted, unless if they thought no one would think about it. Kind of like how Lisa Rinna thought no one would realize that it would make no sense that Sutton canceled when Sutton was there, and we already seen the pictures of Sutton there. So I want to know what you guys think. Please put your comments below. I know a lot to go over today, right, guys? I'm going to be dropping a video about Jennifer Armstrong soon. I am getting that done today, so I'll make sure that I get that posted today, tomorrow, around those times. So, all right, guys, happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. Make sure you comment below, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn those notifications on.